The South Africa Cane Growers Group has raised serious concerns following Tolulope Limited announcing it has entered a business rescue process. The company is an agriculture and agri-processing business focused on the complementary feedstocks of sugarcane and maize. It lost access to its bank account, leading to over 401 million rand that was due to be paid to growers at the end of October 2022 being delayed. Around 4,300 growers who delivered almost 600,000 tons of sugarcane in September were due to receive payments at the end of the month, with more than 4,000 of these being small-scale growers who are especially vulnerable. The group has said that the delays in payments will have catastrophic consequences for a number of small-scale growers who made their first deliveries in September, potentially prompting unrest in the province. Now, Tolulope Developments, the parent company, said that its South African operations are drowning in a pool of debt estimated to be more than 5 billion rand, and its lenders have grown tired of bailing the company out. Joining me now is Andrew Russell. He's the chair of the South Africa Cane Growers Association, joining me from KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. Andrew, welcome to Business Edge. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me on your show.
So we know that the South African operations of the company are separate from the larger parent company, which also has operations in Zimbabwe and Botswana, and they seemingly are not affected. But when it comes to the South African operations, how did we get to a point where this company is in debt and is also unable to make payments to some 4,000 cane growers in South Africa?
Yes, the Tolulope unit financial woes are well documented in the South African media and appear to stem from years of high debt levels that have arisen from alleged financial misstatements and historic mismanagement by the previous leadership of the company. They embarked in 2019 on a comprehensive turnaround strategy, which has enabled it to reduce some of its debt, but despite that progress, high levels of debt remain, well in excess of what can be serviced by the company, which lead us to the business rescue process, which was initiated last week.
So that business rescue process was actually a consequence of the fact that its lenders have once again, or rather have now, refused to give it another bailout. We know that the company said it needed around 1.5 billion rand to service roughly 6.3 billion rand in SA debt and also continue the sugar milling season. But the lenders said no. Looking at all the things you've laid out, the accounting scandal that has been involved in, the attempt to restructure and turn around, why do you think the lenders have said no to yet another bailout for the company?
Well, I think it's exactly as you've said. They've lost patience and they've lost confidence in the existing management. And the consequence of declaring business rescue means that a team of business rescue practitioners have taken over responsibility for managing the company. They are being guided and directed by obviously key directors, making sure that they make the correct decisions. But they have been, we had an engagement with the business rescue practitioners early this week, and they assured us that paying growers and getting their mills and refinery operational again are top of their agenda, and they're working very hard to secure the lines of credit and finance that are necessary in order to do that. No payments have yet been made to growers, which are now, as you said earlier, a week overdue. But we have been reassured that progress is being made in that area, and we are expectant that providing the growers are paid, we can then get back to delivering cane and get those sugar mills up and operational and creating the value that is needed to resuscitate this company.
And it's interesting that you've had that conversation, because I also wanted to ask if it's even possible that people in your association, and even growers who may not be in your association that work with the company, are willing to even take something like part payment. Assurance is not the same thing as having money in the bank. Assurance is not the same thing as being paid. And especially with a situation where there are some first-time growers who have put their product or given their sugarcane and their product to the company and are being owed. What does it mean for your association? How vulnerable are members right now? What's the impact of these delayed payments to them?
The impact is vast, and time is of the essence. There are 4,300 farmers that have been affected by this, who deliver their sugarcane to those mills. They employ nearly 15,000 farm workers amongst them. And so it's having significant impact. Those farmers need the money to buy the fertilizer, to pay the hauliers, and to get their cane to the mill, to prepare the next crop, and to pay the farm workers. So it's having a crippling effect. It's currently manageable. It's been a week's delay, but if it goes on much longer, there's going to be some significant and permanent consequences that will accrue.
So let's look at the business rescue plan that the board approved in October. So this includes disposing of non-South Africa operations, securing investments for its South African businesses, also introducing a 5-year debt instrument that is expected to be repaid through land disposals, as well as continuing to recoup money related to that massive accounting scandal, which is said to be probably the second largest in South Africa's ecosystem right now. When you look at this plan as a part of those who need to be invested and who need to see this plan actually succeed, what do you make of the business rescue plan?
Yeah, I'm not really in a position to comment on that plan. We represent the growers who deliver the sugarcane to the mill. That plan was obviously made in good faith, but hasn't satisfied the risk requirements of the lenders. And so it either needs to be reviewed or revised, but that option is out of their hands now, having put themselves into business rescue. Those kind of decisions and those kind of amended plans are going to have to come from the business rescue practitioners.
Okay. So you mentioned having conversation with Tongah Hulett earlier this week as well. In terms of who else is involved, what is the government saying? This is a massive industry for South Africa that brings in revenue. It also employs thousands of people as well, both directly and indirectly. So it is one in which you would expect government to take at least some bits of notice. Who's at the table? Who's having conversations? And what are some of the things that we should be expecting in the next few weeks to see that this situation works itself out?
We have been assured that the ministerial departments that the sugar industry falls under, the Department of Trade and Industry, as well as the Department of Agriculture, we have been assured that those ministers have been kept up to speed. In fact, we've been assured that our president of the country is aware of the situation. So far, we've had no material intervention from government, but we have been invited to meet with various government ministers next week as representatives of the sugarcane growing fraternity, and we will be doing so and highlighting the risk that exists in these deep rural areas of KwaZulu-Natal, where there are not many other options to be economically active other than sugarcane. These mills and the ecosystem that they support are vital to over 20 towns and villages and communities in northern KwaZulu-Natal and Zululand. And so it has an immense social economic impact on a large number of people, and should be of grave concern to our government. And we are going to be talking to them about how they can rescue the situation, how they can contribute to restoring these businesses to a stable and sustainable condition.
And I want to stay on this because when we look at some of the numbers, over 500,000 depend on Tongah Hulett, of course, for its activities, their livelihood, that's community members. You mentioned over 20 villages thereabouts. So the implications of this is actually massive. We're 1 week past the deadline. What do you think things might look like 2 weeks past the deadline, 3 weeks past the deadline? I think we really need to emphasize that as we wrap up. It is an imperative right now for this situation to be resolved as quickly as possible.
It is, you've summed it up perfectly. It is absolutely imperative that this situation get resolved quickly, and it will decay exponentially the longer it takes to get the value chain up and running again. There are early signs that the business rescue practitioners have been successful in some of their efforts to procure finance. There are indications that the refinery may start again quite soon, and mills are certainly preparing to resume operations. But so far, the growers have not been paid for cane that's already been delivered in September and was due for payment at the end of October. And those growers are adamant that they won't be delivering any more sugarcane until they've been paid for that which was delivered in September. So we wait on tenterhooks but are hopeful that there are signs that the necessary finance is being procured.
All right, so Andrew Russell, we'll leave it at that for now. We'll be following up with you as the developments happen, and hopefully in the next few days we'll hear more concrete action, particularly for the cane growers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the company Tanger Hulett is one of the largest in Southern Africa and has operations in not just South Africa, but as well Botswana and Zimbabwe. Over 500,000 people depend on the operations of this country in South Africa for their livelihoods. We have some 4,300 cane growers who are waiting for payments of over 400 million rand. What does it mean if yet another week of payments goes by and payments is not made? This is a situation we'll be following closely right here on Business Edge.